Hey there guys, I'm SonicGhost and welcome back to some more Let's Play Super Mario Bros. Last time, we went ahead and went through 2 more worlds in the game. In this episode, we're gonna do our very best to not get shot. Sounds like a good lifelong goal. Let's not get shot. That'd be fantastic. So here in World 7, we got another snow-themed world, which is a very nice looking world in this game. Not gonna lie, this looks really nice, especially for Super Nintendo. The Super Mario All-Star games in general, they all just look really good, every single one of them. And especially because I did grow up with this version more than the NES versions of these games. I had both Super Mario Bros. 1 and 3 on the NES, and played a good chunk of them on that system. But more of my time spent playing the original Mario Bros. Games, it was via this version on the Super Nintendo. Oh, you serious? Are you serious? Did my best to avoid all their hammers, and just one oddball one just comes out of nowhere and is like, hey buddy, you forgot about me. And just get whacked by it. Oof. That's real bad. Be careful here not. Oh, I'm not gonna jump. You can just do whatever. I'm not gonna bother you on this layer. It's too risky. Now just take out his friend. I'm gonna wait a minute because I don't trust his hammers. And let's check these blocks before I continue on my story and just see if there's any powers. No, there's not. Okay. Well, I guess we're continuing on with my story. I played, for the most part, all the Mario Bros. Games on this collection. Simply just because I just like how these games looked on this collection more than the NES games. I think, honestly, the best looking one from the NES era was Super Mario Bros. 3, but that makes sense. That game was late NES. That was in 1990. So, that game had the advantage of coming out much later in the system's lifespan, and the devs knew what they were doing with the system at the time. Mario Bros. 1 was launched, so yeah, there was a lot of roughness around the edges with Mario Bros. 1 due to it being the first. Not just of the series, of the console. So yeah, you kind of just do what you can with a launch title. Nowadays, a lot of launch titles you go back on systems, and a lot of them have aged pretty badly, and you can easily tell that it was the first game on that system. But I think this game looks really nice via the All-Stars version. And I just like the soundtrack being a little more updated too. I don't know, I just like the Super Nintendo sounds of this whole game's soundtrack in comparison to the NES. The NES is a little more memorable for obvious reasons. It's the first of the series, and that's the one that Nintendo used a lot of, and they love going back to 8-bit sound effects. But to me, it's just the Super Nintendo version because I played this one more. It's more nostalgic for me. But this is also how I experienced certain other games too, because I played Super Mario Bros. 2 USA via the Game Boy Advance port for the most part. That's how I played a good chunk of Mario Bros. 2. And that game graphically was stomped on by a Koopa. Yeah, that's great. Don't be stomped on by a Koopa. Well, I unfortunately got a game over, and what does that mean is when I hit continue here, I get sent back to the beginning of the world that we were playing. So now I'm sent back to World 7-1. So I unfortunately have to play this and 7-2. That's why you want to keep as many lives as you can have in this game, because, just dying in general and losing all your lives via game over can be pretty punishing. In the original Super Mario Bros. On the NES, if you got a game over, you would kick back to the title screen, and you would have to start from the very beginning of the game, World 1-1. There was a cheat code to get around this, but if you didn't know about the cheat code, then, you had to play through the whole game again, which really did suck. But the cheat code allowed you to begin from the last world that you get to play, just like this game, so at least it was better in that regard, but if you didn't know about the cheat code, it still sucked. But yeah, I guess because I have to replay these levels now, we're just gonna speedrun them. I was gonna cut, but I already got through the first level, and the second level shouldn't be that much longer anyways. So, it's a good example at least showing what game over does. I don't know if I wanted that to happen or not. But I can continue on with my story at least, because I mean, what else are we gonna do in a water level? There's not much really to do underwater. But yeah, going back to my story, this is how I experienced most of the original Mario Bros. Games, as I said earlier, but in particular, I played the GBA version of Super Mario Bros. 2 USA from the GBA version, and that version's graphics were based off of the All-Stars version of the game, so I was very used to already one of the games from the collection. Very, very much because of just how much I played this. But I got this game late, Super Nintendo. Like, I got this game around the time I also had an N64. So, by the time I got this, I did play a lot of Mario Bros. 1 and 3 via NES itself. But then once I got this version, I usually went back and played this copy whenever I wanted to play Mario 1 and 3. Just because, I had it. Super Nintendo's much easier to hook up than NES, and just looks much better. So I ended up playing this version for a lot of the games, but after a while, I went back to the NES versions a lot more. Not because I wanted to, actually, it's because I lost my cart of this game for the longest time. I found this game years later. Like, the biggest thing is when I moved, actually, because for years growing up, I lived in New Jersey, and when I was about ready to turn 8, we moved to Florida, which is actually where I live now. I still live in the same state, so years later, still here. But that's not the story I'm going with. The story I'm trying to say is that when we moved from Jersey to Florida, I lost this cartridge in the move somewhere. I was like packed away in a different box and some of the other things, and for years, I didn't know where this copy was at all. So if I ever went back to the original Mario Brothers games, I would have to play Mario 1 and 3 on the NES, and then Mario 2 on the GBA, because that's really the only ways I had to play those games. It wasn't until years later, after we moved, that I found this game out in my garage somewhere in one of the boxes. Just kind of found it. Well, I was glad I finally found it because I was able to play this version of these games again. And it was nice to be able to actually go back and play these because I just like how these look, and I like how they control. They control very nice with the Super Nintendo controller. It's just much bigger than the NES controller, which feels more comfortable in my hands for long periods of time. But here it's also really hard to do this level while talking, because I'm listening for certain chimes. That was a maze section we just went through there, and you have to go a very specific path to actually continue, otherwise it constantly loops. So you're listening for a chime, which they actually added that chime to the All-Stars version of Super Mario Bros. The NES version, it was a guessing game, because there was no way to know if you got it right or wrong unless the level didn't loop. So, yeah, in the original, that maze section, much harder. And it's just simply because of one thing. There's no way of knowing if you got it right or not, which really does suck. But luckily, not in All-Stars, you can definitely tell when you get it right. So, now we're entering World 8, which is actually our final world of Super Mario Bros. After this, then we have done it. We have saved the princess. But we actually need to make our way to the fortress of this world without dying, so we haven't saved her just yet. Let's not get a little overzealous, because there's still more to do. Be very careful here not to fall in any of these pits, because I really do not want to die in World 8. So, up to this point, if you died in a world, then there wasn't really much of a penalty, because there were checkpoints throughout the levels. And you would just respawn at that said checkpoint whenever you died, which a lot of the times you really just had one checkpoint in a lot of levels, so it was either you respawned at the very beginning, if you're near the beginning of the level, or somewhere halfway, if you made it past the halfway mark. In World 8, there are no checkpoints anywhere, so if you die at the very end of a level, you're sent back to the very beginning. So, we want to avoid dying at all costs in World 8, because it is very punishing if we do so. And I don't want to restart any of these levels, so I'm going to avoid it, especially the next one. You'll see what I'm talking about once we get to World 8-3. 8-3 is by far the hardest level in this game, in my opinion. It's just so difficult. Let's do our best not to see that said difficulty, and just be careful when we get there. For now, let's just be careful now, and not die. Give me a 1-up, which will give me at least a higher chance of beating this game without constantly restarting. Because that'd be nice, not the game over anymore. I'm gonna hold down here just to be safe, because I didn't want to have a bullet shoot me as soon as I turned big. So just to play it safe, I held down. Gonna wait for that bullet to fly out because I don't trust it. And here I'm gonna get a running start to jump off the pipe and miss my jump. Thought for sure that was gonna make it. I was wrong. At least the bright side here is that every time I have to restart this level, I have a chance of getting myself a 1-up mushroom here. So as long as I can get this 1-up mushroom, then I won't be losing lives here because I just constantly get the life I lost back. So I kind of want to get that 1-up whenever we can, just so we can constantly keep our life count up. I'm going to wait here just like last time to jump down, hit this block, and grab me a mushroom. Hold down just in case a bullet wants to shoot me in the face. As long as I'm staying next to these cannons, they won't shoot at a bullet bill, but if I'm just ever so slightly far away, then they will shoot me. So I need to be very careful about that, and I don't trust these things half the time. So it's better to be paranoid about this than just to walk into a bullet and die. I have no idea what happened there. My jump was just a little too short. Okay then, well, let's try this again. Third time's a charm, I swear. Luckily, these levels are so short, it doesn't really matter how many times I die because it doesn't take me long to get back to the parts that I died at. So, in terms of a video, there's not very much to cut out here just because of that. So, just have to be careful not to die, and then I'm back at that portion in like a minute. Which is really okay in that regard. I was almost going to say forgiving, but it's really not. I kind of zipped up here, that was interesting. Yeah, there's not very much forgiving about World 8, so I'm not going to say that word at all. There's nothing forgiving here. Maybe my life is being forgiven because I thought for sure I was going to die there. Oh, come on. I almost wall jumped there, too, which is a little weird. I don't know if that technically exists in the Super Nintendo version of this game, but there is actually a glitch in this game in general, at least from the NES, which is called wall jumping. And what happens is Mario kind of gets stuck in a wall for a little bit, and that allows him to jump off of the wall, and obviously it allows him to do things he's not supposed to do normally. And wall jumping wasn't actually a thing in the Mario series until much later. Like, honestly, wall jumping wasn't a thing until Super Mario 64 in '96. So, to technically see it really start here because of a glitch is really odd. I'm just gonna be careful here. I'm gonna jump down. I'm gonna just try to do this. There you go. Want to get a running start off those platforms. It's so narrow. You just barely have enough time to make that. Get rid of these shells, and there we go. As long as I live, I don't care if I lose my mushroom. So, let's try to beat the level. There we go. As long as I live, I don't care if I lose the mushroom. And we lived to tell another story. Now it's time to move on to 8-3. By far, the hardest level in this game. Simply because Hammer Brothers. Hammer Brothers everywhere. Yeah, this level's very risky. Especially when I have two bullets shoot me at once. That is not good timing. Yeah, everywhere we turn, there's going to be Hammer Brothers, so we're going to want to be very careful. And I don't like how this one's right up in my face. Get out of here. Let's see if they left us any mushrooms. There's a mushroom. Just going to do our best not to die. I don't want to die here. Now I at least have a free hit. I don't have to worry too much about the Hammer Brothers, but I was gonna say I want to keep that mushroom as long as I can. I immediately lost it, so that was not good timing. Not good timing at all. I really want to have a mushroom here. No mushrooms. Oh, time to die. Here I want to actually get this Koopa shell to come with me. Kick it. That's one. That's two. All right, good. I got lucky there. Now for the third Hammer Brother. This one I can't do anything about. And then there's a fourth. Yeah, this is not fun. This is not fun. I am panicking right now. Please jump. Thank you. I can get infinite coins there from that block. Not very infinite. They've run out after a bit, but you get the idea. Let's get out of here. Man, that was scary. I thought for sure I was going to die in that level. Very surprised I did not, but I'll take the victory. Moving on to our final level of the game, World 8-4. This level here, kind of a maze level, if you want to be honest. We have to guess the right pipe to go down. There's a lot of pipes here, and we have to find the right combination of pipes to take in order to get to our final fight. So let's take this pipe here. It'll spit us out in this pipe area, which is kind of hard to tell because a lot of this will blend in after a while, but trust me, there is a pattern to this stuff. Hidden block here, I want to go ahead and hit it so I can jump on top and get down into this pipe. Going forward takes me into a new room. Let's just go ahead and continue on. We got some sheeps just flying in from nowhere. Not friendly. I'm gonna go down this pipe here. And now we're underwater. In the original version of Super Mario Bros. On the NES, when you came to this portion of the level, it played the underwater theme. So, it was a little weird, I'm not gonna lie. It just kind of took you out of the element here, but in All-Stars, it does play the Bowser Castle theme still, so at least now we still know we're in a fortress. And the original, a little hard to tell. But we're getting there. Now we have the true final boss of the game. Hammer brother. Can we beat him? The answer is yes. Now, for the real final boss. Bowser. Run under him. Grab your axe. And that was it. We have beaten Super Mario Brothers and saved the princess of the land. Princess Toadstool. Nowadays known as Peach. For our trouble, she gives us a smooch on the cheek. Not gonna lie, but all the dang death we had to deal with getting here, I think I deserve more. How about a cake? Fortunately for me, a cake wouldn't be for another decade. About 11 years, actually. But this is it. Now, when you beat the game, the kingdom is saved, but we can go ahead and try a more difficult quest. Pretty much what this means is now you play the game in a harder difficulty setting. More or less, this harder difficulty just replaces some enemies, like Koopas now turned into Buzzy Beetles. That's pretty much it. You're playing the same game, just harder. But that concludes Super Mario Brothers. I will have a bonus video showing off all the extra things we didn't get to see throughout our adventure. There's a lot of extra stuff we can go ahead and do in the game, like this harder difficulty, for example. Some extra secrets that we can find, and even a glitch, technically, that is somewhat of an Easter egg, somewhat of a nice secret. It's been referenced a lot nowadays, so if you know about this game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But we'll take a look at that stuff in a bonus video. Thank you guys for watching this Let's Play, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.